How do you do? It's Dan McDonald here from regenerateyourlife.org. Before I get into today's video subject, I wanted to let you know about the seminar that Lou Corona and I are putting on in Anaheim, California on the 28th of February, The Power of Raw Living Foods and Healing. So if you want to come down and check us out, that'd be a good idea. There's going to be a link right down below this video where you can go check out an Eventbrite page and you can sign up over there. You have to sign up because the seats are limited. It's a free seminar, and we look forward to seeing you there if you're able to make it to Anaheim, California on the 28th of February. It's going to be a great time. Lou's going to give a talk, I'm going to give a talk, and then there's going to be a great Q&A session and then a meet and greet at the end. So if you've ever wanted to meet Lou Corona, Dan McDonald, and get the full transmission, then you want to come out to Anaheim, California on the 28th of February. I'll see you there. Okay, so over the years I've had many people ask me, Dan, what are your thoughts on marijuana? Well, today you're going to get it. I myself have imbibed marijuana in the past, and I know many of you have also, and many of you are to this very day. In fact, I'm willing to bet that many of you that have clicked on a video entitled this are probably stoned out of your tree right now. And that's okay. Maybe you have a bag of chips next to you, or you've eaten a couple large pizzas and you have a soda, or you're getting a lot of thoughts about ice cream. But let me tell you about the marijuana, my thoughts on it right now. And I will just go straight into it. Basically, I think that marijuana, smoking it, really suppresses your ability to connect your mind to your emotions. That was my own personal experience. There were emotions that were coming out of my unconscious that I did not want to feel. And when I got sober off of the weed and the drinking and the cigarettes and the food as well, it all ties in. But particularly, let's stay on the subject of the marijuana. I think that it really muffles the sensations of the heart. When we don't want to feel certain things, we'll close that off, and we do that by smoking the marijuana. As soon as you get sober, that's when your heart begins to awaken, and a lot of those things that you buried deeply inside of you begin to surface. And what you're going to be experiencing at that time is more coherence between the mind and the heart. And this is a process that I am pretty much coming to the end of it. And it has been quite a challenging experience. Going from many years of suppressing and denying and repressing my emotions, the inability to really deal with it, which was a continuation of my inability to deal with it as a very young child. Because if you're a young child and these things happen, more or less traumatic, then you don't have a reference point. You don't have intellectualism. You don't have the internet. You don't have Google. All you have is more of a survival instinct, and you don't have any way to really process those emotions. So you can easily understand why someone would bury those things if they were in more of an insecure household. And you maybe had insecure attachment figures, your mom or your dad or whoever was taking care of you may not have been able to respond to your needs, make you feel safe, or help you to process some of those things that you might have went through as a child. So if you get into that habit and that pattern of burying those emotions, because they can be construed as unpleasant. Now, generally, human beings, most everybody, unless you're crazy, really do desire pleasantness. And we are able to, with the use of different types of drugs, and not just drugs, but lots of different types of substances or activities even, can suppress that unpleasantness that was buried at one time or another. I know people that are very close to me that looked me in the eyes and said, I'm never going to go back there again. I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to die with this. And there are many people that will die with their emotions unexpressed, with their heart closed off or congested with anger, fear, sadness, grief, guilt, shame, etc. They're all really stemming from a fear I'll just say that as a generalization, okay? And an inability to walk through that unpleasantness that was buried when it was necessary for it to be buried. You can't judge anyone, and I'm not criticizing anyone. What I'm doing is coming to you, sharing my experience as I wake up to the potential of releasing the debris that was the emotional clogging. And now what's happening, particularly in the last couple weeks, is a real coherence between the mind and the heart. So there's more of an ease that's taking place within the body, mind, and spirit, which is, if you've ever watched these videos, you know that's what I've been all about. Like, why would a man seek peace? Well, because he never knew what it was. But if peace was there, he would never even have to question it. Same thing with love. If love was always there, no one would say, love is so important, because you wouldn't even notice its absence. So those of us that are chasing down peace and love, you know that we have had an absence of that in our experience. What we're really trying for is pleasantness, joy. But the clogging up of the heart and the inability to walk through the fire of those things that were repressed at an earlier time can get congested. And one of the ways we can do it is with food. And we're, drinking. And smoking cigarettes, gambling, sex, all different types. The list could go on, but you're really doing everything you can to be unpresent or not with yourself. And I know how challenging this is, and I'm not judging the people that are smoking weed, because when you're a weed head, you're like, this is the medicine, man, and you just think that it is, because for you it is, because you do not want to feel that. And when you smoke, you suppress that. Now, I'm not saying there aren't THC receptors in the brain, and that for people that are experiencing different types of issues don't get some relief, but I'm also willing to bet that there are some more deeper underlying issues that are taking place. As you begin to understand health more and more, you'll realize that this is coming from within you. And if we want to really get there, we will own up. We cannot be victims and say, I am unpleasant because the world externally is unpleasant. We don't learn. We think everything is unpleasant outside of us, therefore I'm going to allow that to experience unpleasantness within myself. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can actually, through the power of the mind, dive deep within ourselves and courage, go into ourselves and begin to do the process of re-engineering our mind. And we can look at these sticking points and begin to remove the accretions that are blocking up the flow of the pleasantness that is available to all. So with the marijuana particularly, I find that we're suppressing generally unresolved emotional states. And there are the other ways that people suppress those things. But what I encourage is actually observing the mind, and most of it's coming out of the unconscious. So presence, awareness, that's why the food trip is so good. You get hydrated, mineralized, energized, clarified, because your GI tract also affects the heart and the mind as well. The GI tract and what's going on down there directly affects the mind. So you're going to want to clean out the guts. And then you start the process of renewing the mind, cutting the cords of those old stories. You know me. If you've watched any of my videos, you've heard me say the same sob story. Done. That's why it's so epic that I've been spending so much time in solitude and the fasting and the juicing and the raw foods and the meditation. The meditation is key for me, but also making sure I'm feeding the glands in my brain, the glands in my body, allowing that energy to move up my spine and clean me out. Is it always a super pleasant process? No. But the beauty that you can see within this, it's true awakening. And that's why, there's going to be a lot of thumbs down or whatever, but that's not really what it's about. It's about really like the few people that are actually going to hear what I'm saying, that are going to want to get clear, that are going to want to feel the pleasantness, that are going to want to bring in health to their body by balancing the elements of the earth, air, fire, water. And then using consciousness to animate the space so that you can begin to program your life to attract just by, the essence of what you've allowed yourself to become by using your mind, your conscious mind. Are you showing up to life unconsciously or consciously? And one of the ways that you can do that with the weed is you can just go unconscious, and you can bring that temporary sense of pleasantness. But I know for a fact, I've seen this in so many people, the temporary pleasantness will lead you to the grumpiness the next day. You go to work and you're like, this sucks, I can't wait to get off work and get stoned again. Well, then you're dependent. And so if you want to get free, I know what a process it is. Trust me, I did all that for many, many years. It was a tool that I needed, and I'm not judging anyone. I would say that thank God for it. But now, as I'm becoming more responsible and really want to up my game and show up in a better way in this life, I'm using the raw foods, I'm using the meditation, I'm using the awareness to really process and get that junk off my heart. Now the mind, the unconscious mind, sends signals to the body, whatever it is, the deep belief systems. I'm not lovable, example, could be one that many people might experience, or I'm overweight, or they would be more negative, like we're fat in this family. Well, how many times did you might have heard that? Or all the other different types of things that are negative thinking that your parents were unconscious about, repeating stuff that they heard from the news or from school or from church, and all those programs, but they're not really real. It's not really true. And you got programmed with the, oh my God, the stockpiles of non-truth that people are running around, not only in their conscious minds, but in their unconscious, deeply embedded in their unconscious minds. And so waking up is not, what's happening all over the place. But if you want to wake up, you can. And you can own up to how you're showing up in this life. And you can dive deep and do that inward journey. And you can find that pleasantness and that joy again. And you can remove the blocks by walking through the fire. You may shed a few tears. You may feel what you call anger. But you don't want to, you don't want to cling to anger. You don't want to cling to fear or shame or guilt or grief because of the stories that you're telling yourself. Let me tell you real quick, just rewrite a new story. You know what I mean? You don't have to stay stuck. You really don't have to stay stuck. I can say that right now. You just keep getting more unstuck, and then you'll run into the next thing. And just take your courage and take your faith, but just really go for the path of joy and releasing all those things. Like, who taught me that junk? All these things that you learn in church or something like that. You got to question that stuff. You can't just take some dude up there. You're like, how happy is he? You don't even know what the preacher man's doing. He's abusing his wife when he gets home. I mean, my friend was just here today, and I know her story. And her husband was a preacher. He was like, not a good guy. And you're listening to that dude every Sunday getting programmed just because you're willing. You've got to look for that spirit. I hope you feel the spirit of this process that's taking place in me that I'm embracing. And I love it, and I thank you, and I'm grateful. So anyways, that was my little thing on the marijuana thing. Everyone can do what they want, There's beauty in everything. So there is no right or wrong in my opinion. But I'm just saying, I'll sum it up in saying that all your faculties showing up, creating your destiny. You don't want to be partly in control of your life. A little bit of food, and then you get your body and you're like a little bit in control of your life. And then you get your emotions under control and your mind under control. Then you have a little bit more control of your life and your destiny. But when you begin the process of becoming the master of your own energies, and you can begin to clean stuff out by sitting there with yourself in a quiet place with your spine straight, you can go inward. You can see how you've been showing up to this life, how you've been doing with your finances, with your relationships, with your health, and all the things that you're reverberating out into the universe from deep within your unconscious mind. You can go in there take some solitude, take a look at all that, and begin the process of renewing yourself, regenerating yourself, remaking yourself. Neuroplasticity. You're not stuck. This whole business with genes, hardwired and all that, it's not true. You express your genes the way you want. If you want to express those youthening genes, if you want to express those genius genes, if you want to express those love genes, you can do that. You are a powerful being, I will tell you that. And I want to encourage you, if I can, to do everything you can to keep stepping forward in your journey into the biggest, brightest, and best self by employing all of your faculties in every way that you can, particularly the glands, which are correlate as energy centers, or sometimes they're termed as chakras, and really paying attention to the power that's moving up your spine and being aware of what you're putting in your brain and spending time building that perception so that you can perceive, especially inward, but not only inward, but also outward, perceiving the world, looking at things as they are in the moment so that you can have reality and truth. And then the beautiful journey, I guess particularly right now, just my own self diving deeper into those pockets of reverberation where I'm allowing life to show up in a certain way because of what I'm putting out. And it couldn't be any other way. So I'm removing that and saying, well, that doesn't work. That's not how I want that to be. I want that to be better. I want, better finances, better relationships, better health, more mental clarity. See? And so we can create. And it's a real beautiful creative principle within you. And as you tonify and really work with the faculties that you have at the highest levels, you'll see changes in your life and you'll have more pleasantness. And I think that's what we all want. So again, thank you very much for watching this video. It's an honor to share time with you, and thank you for allowing me to share this. And I really do hope that your life continues to improve in any way that you see fit. So thank you. Peace be with you. Goodbye.